All right, in level 3, we're solving multi-step absolute value equations. Excuse me, which really means what we're going to do is very similar to level 2. We're going to eventually set up two equations and solve. But remember in level 2, the absolute value was already isolated, it was already by itself. In level 3, we have to actually do that first. So the first step is you got to isolate the absolute value, which really means you just need to get the absolute value by itself. Now, if you look at letter A, 3 minus 2 absolute value of 2x minus 3 equals negative 7, looks really challenging. Like, how the heck am I going to do that? Here's how you want to think of it. This, you want to think of is just like 3 minus 2x equals negative 7. You essentially want to get x by itself. Like, how would you solve for x? That's what you want to do to get the absolute value by itself. Same exact method. So how would we get the x by itself in this problem here? Well, first you would have to move the number over, right? Subtract 3, and then you would take negative 2x equals negative 10, and you divide by negative 2, right? And that's how you would get x by itself. That's how you would solve for x. This is the exact same thing. So it's the exact same thing. And now if it helps you to think of the absolute value as just like a variable that you need to get rid of, that's what we're solving for. So if I want to get the absolute value by itself, that's what I'm looking to get by itself, the first thing I need to move is the 3. I need to subtract 3 over. So I get negative 2, then the absolute value, 2x minus 3 equals negative 10, and then I divide by the negative 2 that's being attached right now by multiplication. So if I get rid of that, I get absolute value of 2x minus 3 equals 5, positive 5. Okay, and now we just turn this into level 2. So if you can do that one single step of doing what we just did, this is now level 2, and that's it. Right? Level 2, remember, two equations. The first equation, the thing inside the absolute value stays the same. It just becomes negative 5. I'm not going to show all the steps to solve this, but essentially you would add 3, divide by 2, you get x equals 4. Add 3, divide by 2, you get x equals negative 1. Okay, so from this blue line down, it's really just level 2. So those couple of steps that you have to do there is to get it to a level 2 problem. So let's take a look at letter B. Same thing. What if this was like 2x plus 5 equals 15? What would you do? You'd subtract 5 and then divide by 2. So that's what we have to do here. So I'm going to subtract 5. You get 2 absolute value, 4x plus 1 equals 10, and then you divide by 2. Absolute value, 4x plus 1 equals 5. And then again, remember two equations. First one doesn't change. Second one, the only thing that changes is the 5 becomes a negative. Again, I'm not going to show all the steps. You would subtract 1, divide by 4, you get x equals 1. And here you would subtract 1, divide by 4, you get negative 6 divided by 4, which is negative 3/2. Okay? If you want to take a second, try the next one. The next one's probably the easiest of these three, and I'll go over it in a second. Okay, so this one actually is even easier because there's no multiplication out in front. So literally all you have to do is subtract 5. So you get absolute value of x plus 1 equals negative 2. Now, there should be a red flag jumping up at you right now. Red flag. Look, red flag. Okay? Beautiful flag. Here's the red flag. Anytime an absolute value has to be set equal to a negative number, you immediately, right away, know it's no solution. There is no way that absolute value ends up equaling a negative. Now, if you didn't realize that, what you would have to do is you would do the work and you'd get answers, but then you'd have to double check them. Technically, we should be checking all these answers. Okay, so either you could do one of two things. Either you could remember always to check for this and look for this happening, or in every problem, always make sure you check your answers in. I think it's easier just to see, oh wait, it equals a negative, it's not going to work. Okay, last problem in number 3, in level 3, here we have, two functions, and we're trying to do a composite function. This is from first semester. So we're doing f of g of x. So remember, that means we're going to take g of x, and we're going to put it into f. So g of x is this entire thing here, x minus 2 over 8. We're going to put it in for the x that's there. So what we end up with is 2, then we have our absolute value, x minus 2 over 8, plus the 7 was there, equals, remember it says equals 13 over here, right? So it's got to set equal to 13. Now this just looks like one of the problems from before. So what we're going to do, first thing, we would subtract 7. You get 2 absolute value x minus 2 over 8 equals 6. Divide by the 2 that's in front, like the problems we just did. You get the absolute value of x minus 2 equals 8. Notice it still says absolute value. I haven't got rid of it yet. The only way you get rid of the absolute value is by writing two equations. First equation's x minus 2 over 8 equals 3. X minus 2 over 8 equals negative 3. In both cases, all you would do is multiply by 8, right? So you get x minus 2 equals 24, so x equals 26. And then for the other one, again, you multiply by 8 as well, so those cancel, multiply by 8. You get x minus 2 equals negative 24, and when you add 2, you get x equals negative 22. Hope this helps.